You ever walk into a diner thinking you're just going to get a cup of bad coffee and end up watching someone's entire world shift right in front of you? That's exactly what happened that morning at Mel's Roadside Diner, out on Highway 87. The kind of place where the parking lot's always cracked, the neon signs half burned out, and the air smells like bacon and burnt toast no matter the hour. If you'd been there that day, you'd have seen Sarah Miller working her usual morning shift, moving between sticky vinyl booths, not a single order wrong, always bringing out extra napkins to the tables with messy kids, just another waitress, or so folks thought. But there was always something different about her, something you'd notice if you paid attention, like the way she kept pulling her sleeves down over the scars, tracing her left arm and shoulder, scars that looked like stories most people were too polite or too scared to ask about. See, Sarah wasn't born for the small-town spotlight. She'd landed in this dusty corner of West Texas after life had chewed her up and spit her back out. The whispers in town said car accident, maybe a kitchen fire, but nobody ever guessed the truth. Those scars were from an IED explosion near Ramadi, back in '06, when Sergeant Sarah Miller, an Army medic, threw herself over a wounded soldier, ending her military career and saving a life in the process. But you wouldn't hear that from her, not unless you pried open the dresser drawer in her tiny apartment, where she kept a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star hidden away, along with a faded 3rd to 5th Infantry tattoo she always tried to keep covered. Most folks at Mel's respected her, or at least respected her hustle, but there's always someone who has to poke at what they don't understand. That morning, it was the pipeline contractors out-of-towners, loud, thinking their breakfast order came with a free side of cruelty. "Hey, Scarface," their ringleader Chad called out. "Try not to spill any on us, don't want to end up looking like you." The whole table busted up laughing, but Sarah didn't even flinch, just poured their coffee and kept her face blank. Years in combat zones taught her dignity was sometimes the only armor you got. You know what I mean? Some folks just can't leave well enough alone. "What happened to you anyway?" Another one called, loud enough for the whole place to hear. "House fire? Car wreck? Or did someone do that to you on purpose?" Around the room, regulars pretended to read the paper or stared into their coffee, hoping if they looked away the moment might pass. But Chad, he just kept going. "Bet she can't even smile with all that scar tissue. Must be why she works in a dump like this." That's about when Michael Kelly walked in 40-ish faded jeans, old Marine Corps cap, eyes that scanned the room like he'd never stopped checking for danger. Just a traveler passing through. But the way he watched Sarah, you could tell he saw something nobody else was seeing. When she brought him his coffee, her sleeve slipped just enough to show the edge of that tattoo. "Coffee," she said, all business. "Please," Michael replied, studying her, and for a second you could feel something shift in the air. It was like he was chasing a memory, piecing together something he almost recognized. As Sarah moved away, her sleeve rode up again, and this time Michael caught the words, 3rd to 5th Infantry. Suddenly, his whole face changed. That's a unit you don't forget if you've been anywhere near Iraq. And right then, the contractors started up again. "Hey, Frankenstein, my eggs are cold. Maybe if you moved faster, the food would be hot when it gets here." Chad barked, but Sarah didn't even blink. She just said, "I'll have the cook prepare fresh eggs for you," her voice steady as ever. Then a little boy piped up, "Lady, did it hurt?" pointing straight at her scars. Sarah leaned down and, softer than you'd expect, said, "Not as much as being forgotten." That's when Michael stood up, his whole body tense like he was bracing for something big. He walked right up to Sarah and said, "That tattoo 3rd to 5th Infantry. You serve in Iraq." The whole diner froze, every eye on them. Sarah hesitated, but then nodded. "2 tours. Medic." Michael's voice caught. "Ramadi, 2006? IED en route, Michigan. You were the medic who saved my life." Suddenly, the laughter at the contractor's table died out. Sarah searched his face and said, "You were the one with shrapnel in your chest. You kept asking about your squad." Michael swallowed hard. "They all made it home because of you," he said, his voice carrying across the silent diner. The room changed in an instant, regulars looking down, the contractors shifting in their seats, faces going pale as the truth hit. All this time, the woman they'd mocked was a decorated combat medic, a hero by any measure, and they'd been too busy cracking jokes to notice. Michael took off his cap, holding it over his heart, and said loud enough for all to hear, "Sergeant Miller, thank you for my life." For a second, you could have heard a pin drop. Even Chad and his crew looked like they wanted to crawl under the table. Someone at the counter muttered, "We should have said something," his guilt hanging in the air. Bob Johnson, the diner's manager, came out of the kitchen, face red with shame and pride all at once. "Sarah, you take the rest of the day off with pay, and if anyone ever disrespects you again, they'll answer to me." The contractors scrambled for excuses. "We didn't know. If we'd known you were a veteran." But Sarah just looked at them, cool and steady. Should it take a uniform to earn decency? Or is basic respect something everyone deserves? Her words cut sharper than any insult, making everyone rethink who they'd been, what they'd done. You could feel the question hanging over all of us. How many heroes are walking among us, invisible because we never bother to look past the surface? Michael stepped in closer, his voice gentle. "You don't owe anyone an explanation. You've already given enough." But for the first time, Sarah let down her guard. "I just wanted to be left alone," she whispered. "Just wanted to do my job and not have to explain myself to anyone." Michael shook his head. "You shouldn't have to. But maybe now, things will be different. Maybe you'll finally get the respect you deserve." The change in the diner was instant. People started whispering, eyes wide, sharing the news their quiet waitress was a war hero. The elderly couple stood up, the husband removing his hat, and said, "Thank you for your service, Sergeant. We're sorry we never knew." Even Chad shuffled over, his earlier swagger gone, and apologized. Sarah looked him in the eye and said, "Apology accepted. But remember this feeling the next time you judge someone by how they look." Then Michael turned to the whole room. "This woman saved my life under enemy fire. She's the reason I'm here today. And she's not the only one. There are veterans everywhere carrying their scars in silence, just trying to get by. Maybe it's time we start seeing them." That's when a young soldier in dress uniform walked and caught up in the commotion and snapped a salute to Sarah. Without thinking, she returned it, first time since her discharge, and you could see her stand a little taller, as if she finally remembered who she was. Michael pulled out an old, worn photograph, showing Sarah a group of young faces. "Every one of them made it home because of medics like you," he said. For a moment, Sarah let herself feel proud, really proud, as she spoke about her service, not just the facts, but the purpose, the love of helping, the pain of losing that identity after being discharged. And in that moment, the whole community shifted with her recognizing, maybe for the first time, the cost of looking away. 6 months later, Mel's Diner was transformed. Veterans from all over stopped by, drawn by stories of the waitress who'd become a symbol of quiet heroism. The contractors organized fundraisers, raising thousands for wounded vets. Bob put up a wall of honor and started a Veterans Eat Free program. Sarah found purpose volunteering at the VA, helping others bridge that impossible gap between military and civilian life. She learned service isn't about uniforms, it's about lifting each other up wherever you are. And maybe, just maybe, that's what real heroism looks like, not medals or headlines, but scars carried with dignity, kindness offered without expectation, and a community finally learning to see the people right in front of them. So, what do you think? Should it really take a hero's story to make us treat each other with respect? Or is it finally time to see the worth in every person who walks among us? I'd love to hear your take, share your thoughts below, because stories like Sarah's, they belong to all of us.